Clock strikes 5. We start. Today we're going to be talking about cultivating fulfillment. Sounds weird. What the hell does that mean? And the first question that I have for you is, what do you think it means? And there isn't a right or wrong answer here. I'm just curious as to what you guys physically, in your mentally, what you think it means. No? It's okay. I mean, we don't have to. Yeah, go ahead. Take a stab.
Say a belief in what you want to do, and
Yeah.
a goal for planning for how you can get there.
Exactly. I like the use of the word goal there, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, and we're going to talk about how we can kind of flip the world upside down for our goals, and really have a bunch of fun with it. But the core of this talk today is rooted in a theory called success theory, and there are many steps in common success theory, and here they are. You got to do a lot of things to be successful, right? You have to do everything you can and be the best candidate. You have to get that amazing position at that amazing company. You got to work your tail off. You got to get recognized. You got to get promoted, and you got to manage a team. And then what? And then you're successful, right? Come on in. No worries, man. But the problem is, this doesn't end, right? It keeps moving. The finish line keeps moving on you. Because once you gain this happiness, after you manage that team and whatnot, and you get that recognition, you want more. It's not enough. Scientists refer to this as a hedonic treadmill. Meaning that it's constantly moving under you, and the finish line keeps getting further and further away, and you want to do more to get more fulfillment, but it keeps getting pushed farther and farther away. That's not right. It doesn't seem like a system that I would buy into. But the question that we really have to ask here, is it right or wrong? Because there's some parts of it that are right. You do have to, get a job. You do have to, impress your boss. You do have to work really hard. The biggest problem I have is that success and happiness are at the bottom, and then they keep getting pushed to the end again. And I think that's flawed. I think fundamentally it's wrong, and I think that we don't have to listen to the people that have been telling us this for the better part of our lives. Does that sound like something you've heard, those earlier slides? That sounds right? Your professors have told you, your parents have told you, your friends have told you, your bosses have told you. But you're not there. Were you there when you graduated high school at that level of success? The bar keeps moving. Whenever you are recognized as being that amazing new employee and you're given that reward, or award rather, then you have to do more to get the same level of happiness. Hedonic treadmill. My job is to pull the plug on that treadmill and to show you guys a different way to view the world. Because I think I wasted 7 years of my life with regards to doing these tasks to get me happy or to get me fulfilled. And the biggest thing I can do for you guys is to let you know how I was wrong. Because I've learned how to whip this thing. Well, not completely. We're not done yet, right? Nobody's perfect. But the reality is teaching us a few different things. Science is telling us that the theory is flawed, physically. Not just it doesn't feel right, but there's actually some physical evidence around it being wrong. It's people that are viewed as having a high happiness quotient, which I know that's a weird term, but basically meaning fulfillment in career, family, work life, social circle. People that have quotients that are higher in those four related measures are found to be more successful and to find happiness and fulfillment quicker. The framework around this is something called positive psychology. And positive psychology is a study of, well, let me back up 1 second. Does everybody know what this is? What is it?
Parabola.
Yep, there's a name for it, a colloquial name for it. What would you call this curve?
Bell.
It's a bell curve, right? What's this line in the middle? Median. What are these lines out here? Do you know what they mark?
Standard deviation.
Standard deviations. 1 standard deviation, 2, and 3. Science is telling us that anything outside of the third, on both sides, are asymptotes. They're not scientifically relevant. Let's look at it another way. All these data points are making a lovely little graph. What are the dots?
Outliers.
They're outliers, right? Positive psychology is saying that these trend lines are not the important thing to look at, because the trend lines are normal. The trend lines are average. The trend lines are what everybody else is doing. These outliers are what we need to study, because there's a reason that they are outliers. It's not magic. Something's happening scientifically. So how can we cultivate that fulfillment that makes you an outlier versus waiting for it? Nobody wants to wait for happiness, right? Sounds like a pretty crappy proposition. I know. You guys don't. Why do we feel that we have to? Because we all feel that we should, right? Like someone is telling us that, oh, it's going to take a while. You know, you can't just have it all at the beginning. Well, you can't. That's true. You can't be a director at some company that's your dream job on day one. Doesn't mean you can't be fulfilled. Doesn't mean you can't be happy. Doesn't mean you can't be a beacon of shining hope in a company that is plagued with this line, that is plagued with average. I've always had a little colloquial thing about myself. I always say that people can love me, people can hate me, but no one will ever say that I'm normal. Ever. It's just not in the cards. And that's good for me, because I use that to certain levels of advantage. And it's part of me. You know, there's a reason why I'm wearing jeans and a corduroy blazer. We're at an event where everyone's wearing suits. Granted, I also told Dad that I catered the gig, so I can wear what the hell I want. But having the ability to do that is stemming from choices that I made, right? Master your own domain. So what I'm talking about when we're referring to domains is, let's talk about cultivating seeds. And we're going to have a little farmer analogy here when we're talking about cultivating and growing. But the bigger piece of this is the seed part. What are the seeds that we need to grow? And we're going to talk about 3 today. This is an abbreviated version of a much longer keynote that I do. But we're going to talk about positivity, the dream gig, and social entrenchment. And they're pretty fun, I think. And these are seeds that I'm talking about for myself. They might relate to you very strongly. You might have one of your own that outranks one of these 3. Or you may have a larger list. It truly is up to you. But let's talk about positivity first. People like positive people, yeah? Yes or yes? Yes.
Yes.
Anyone like working in a group setting with a jerk? Would you take somebody who has a positive, enlightened outlook on life that's moderately above average, or would you take a jerk that is an ace?
Or positive.
Yeah, and there's no right answer there. Some people, you could make a healthy argument for taking the ace and just putting up with it. The problem is, if you take that jerk that is hurtful, there has to be enough output to outlay the physical and emotional abuse. Not physical, no one's hitting anyone. But the emotional abuse that you bring to that group setting, right? There has to be balance. I would bet, with my money, that I can help make someone better, but I can't help make someone more positive. So I would say leave the jerk at home, take the moderately above average person and work with them. Help them. Give them what you got. Give them that spark. Or have them help you. But positivity in situations like this, it is vital. It is so vital. But the problem is positivity stemming from the actions, or are the actions stemming, or is the positivity stemming from the actions, or the actions stemming from positivity? Chicken or the egg argument, right? There's no answer. Nobody has this figured out. But if I am a betting man, and I love to gamble, I would imagine that people who have a better outlook on their lives find happiness, fulfillment, success, nibbana quicker. It can't be nirvana because then you have to be dead to experience that. But I think that's what my gut tells me. And your gut might tell you the same. Might tell you something different. But the important part is to listen to it. And with positivity, there's another fun question. Are positive people the norms? Or are they the outliers? Are they the standard deviations? Or are they the asymptotes? I just love saying the word asymptotes. It's so much fun. It's a great word. I would say that positive people are most likely not, or approaching the ends of those standard deviations, right? And that's sad. It really is, right? And you can't fix it. You can fix one person. I would make the argument that we all need to do our part. And I think that's a valid pursuit. So how do we do that? Can we actively cultivate positivity? Can you do things to make yourself more positive? Yes. Scientifically proven that yes, you can. I do a few things just personally. These are my things. You can steal them if you want. You can make up your own things. Doesn't matter to me. But every Friday I put out on my Twitter feed 3 things that made me happy that week, that I'm grateful for. I call it Fulfillment Friday. Get it? Fulfillment, please. Branding. It's all branding. But yeah, I call it Fulfillment Friday. And I have so much fun making these things, not making them up, putting them down and sharing them. And I don't have 1 million followers. I don't even know how many I have, but it's not hundreds. But just putting down the fact that I loved my son coming home from preschool with like purple marker on his forehead. I loved that because I know he had an awesome time at daycare. Or at preschool, rather. It was awesome. I physically relived that moment whenever I typed it in my computer. Physically. I mean, I thought about it again. Whenever you have moments of pleasure, moments of fulfillment, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is used in a lot of other physiological instances too, that make us very happy. So if we are chemically changing our brains at that point in time, we're priming ourselves for something else. When your brain gets an influx of dopamine, you're more sensitive, you're more aware of your surroundings, you're more tied in to things. Think about releasing dopamine through various activities, whether it's remembering things, whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's just going in the bathroom and quite frankly, talking to yourself in the mirror like a crazy person. I do that. You know, full disclosure time. But it makes me feel good about a few things. I used to remember water skiing before I used to go into interviews. I used to think about it. Real. I'm not joking either. I used to think about water skiing in the men's room before I would go into an interview. It made me feel good. People want to be around people that feel good. I always say the number one goal in an interview is not to get a job. It's to make a friend. You've probably heard that before. But friends will give you jobs. Think about it. And this is like real science too. This isn't even just me making this stuff up like everything else is made up. I'm joking. It's not. So I think we can cultivate positivity. It's doable. But we had two other seeds of the 3 total. Come on, Mr. Slide. Yeah, there we go. The dream gig. What would you do if money didn't matter? Anyway, what would you do? What would your gig be?
I would probably market burritos.
Market burritos?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good gig. Really is. It has one side effect. It's fairly noticeable. But no, anyone, what would you guys like to do?
I'd go play for the Chicago Cubs.
Play for the Chicago Cubs.
That wouldn't happen, so then I would probably be the bat boy for the Chicago Cubs.
Bad boy for the Chicago Cubs.
That's right.
Well, I mean, from being from St. Louis, it doesn't sound like a dream gig to me.
Yeah, I get that a lot around here. It's all
Different
right.
strokes for different folks, brother. I love it. But the thing is, and you probably wouldn't be a bad boy, and you probably wouldn't play for the Chicago Cubs.
Not even bad.
But could you work for the Cubs?
Most likely.
Yeah, I know people that work for the Cardinals. They have degrees similar to me, or similar to me. You could do that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing now to get there, though?
Standing right here.
That's where, well, maybe that's a piece of it. Maybe not. But maybe it's a piece of it. Because sometimes getting called out is a good piece of motivation to do something. So, and you're getting a, what degree are you getting?
I'm a finance.
Finance.
Major.
Okay. Baseball teams probably need finance people, right?
They do need a little money.
They do, yeah. You want five?
Yep.
Cool, thank you very much. So why couldn't you work for the Cubs in their finance department?
No specific reasons I
Yeah.
couldn't.
The only thing holding you back is you. I love Chipotle. I love it. The only thing holding me back to I could have got a job with Chipotle in 2004. Had a job offer. That was before they went public too. That would have been nice. But you know, I mean, if I would have got that job in 2004, I'm over like 25 restaurants, 3 states right now. More than that, 27 restaurants. I could be over 100. I could be having much more impact with the company if I would have started. The only thing that held me back was me. That was 3 years out of college. There was 4 more years that I wasted after that. Learn from me. But a couple questions. Is there such a thing as a dream job? What's it consist of? And what are you doing to find it? We've kind of hinted on some of these. But remember the 5th of November. I just like saying that. But remember that it could be, realistically, right under your nose. You just have to be hungry enough to find it. Go YouTube Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement address. The term foolish hunger comes from there. It's an amazing section of his speech where he talks about being foolishly hungry. Always having a healthy discontent for the status quo. Only have a couple minutes left, so we're going to go through social entrenchment now as well. Study done at Harvard in the early 2000s came up with some pretty shocking results in the field of positive psychology. What do you guys think the #1 success measure is of an incoming freshman at Harvard to dictate where they will be in the rankings of their senior year? Go ahead.
The rankings of current seniors.
Rankings of current. Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
I think the rankings of other students.
Yeah, yeah. But what do you think is the factor that attributes to a higher ranking? Is my question. I'm sorry, I didn't say that very right. What's that?
I said number of friends met maybe on campus or something.
It's actually exactly right. I kind of loaded the question because it does say social entrenchment. But no. You would think it would be ability to focus and study. GPA coming in. How many scholastic involved activities they're in. Things like this, right? Those sound right. Just like the success theory sounds right. But no, the #1 thing that attributes to a higher class ranking for Harvard 4-year students is their social circle. And how they cope with the rigors of Harvard. You know, Harvard is arguably one of the hardest institutions in the country. This one's one too. Your ability to entrench yourself in your social circles and use that as a coping mechanism and as a place to refuel your brain with the right things to get you ready to tackle that hard load of Harvard academia. It's insane. Anyone can finish this sentence, right? Make lemonade. This is lemonade, guys. That's lemonade. Life gives me lemonade. I'm going to add some love and I'm going to throw a party. A couple bottles of vodka, a bunch of lemons. We have a beach themed party. Right?
Yes.
Nothing's different. It's just your reaction, your approach, your drive. So when life gives you lemons, don't take those lemons and be normal. Be an outlier. Use them in ways others aren't to make yourself better than the average. So we have these seeds again that we were talking about. Positivity, dream gig. But the more important question is, what are your seeds? And that's what I want you guys to come away from this presentation with. What are you going to cultivate to make success happen faster? And clock is ticking right now. Just like that quote from Fight Love. Fight Club? Fight Love? What is that? Fight Club, right? This is your life. And it's ending 1 second at a time. I waited 7 years. Nope, not you guys. You guys are going to be smarter than me. Do it today. We got a couple, we technically only have a couple of minutes left. Here's my contact information though, Facebook, Twitter, website. If you want me to come to your campus, if you're interested in that. I don't take money from Delta Sig chapters, but if we want to work out something in another way, I am open to that. Funds Allotment Council, that's what I did up at Truman. The Career Center paid to bring me in up at Truman. But yeah, just a small commercial at the end.